What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Arman Tsarukyan sends a warning to Islam Makhachev. A few weeks ago, Arman Tsarukyan warned Islam Makhachev and his supporters that he has a trick up his sleeve prepared for their rematch. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. Now, just a couple of weeks out from their highly anticipated fight, the challenger has delivered a similar warning. Tsarukyan has secured a second chance at defeating Makhachev on account of going 9-1 since he dropped the decision to the lightweight king back in 2019. Not long after their rematch was officially signed, the Armenian fighter reported that he was preparing a plan for Islam, which would change the outcome of their bout. Well, in a recently released video that went out, the well-rounded fighter delivered a similar warning. Back in September, I worked on my cardio, my breathing, my strength, and endurance, but now it's all about preparing for my opponent, Islam. Of course, I've got one trick that I believe in. I know it will work, and it will change the whole course of the fight. It'll be interesting to see what Arman is referring to, and if he actually is planning to pull out some sort of highlight reel technique. It could also be, of course, that Tsarukyan is just trying to get in ahead of Islam. All that aside, another video featuring Arman also included another eyebrow-raising moment. In a video series that has been documenting Arman preparing for the fight in Russia, he had this interesting exchange with one of his friends. You told us yourself that you are not 100% invested in MMA, and that there are a lot of guys out there who work harder, and yet you are one step away from becoming the best lightweight on the planet. Have you ever asked yourself, what if I was 100% invested in MMA? Well, now we will see, Tsarukyan said. The title fight will show if a man who is not 100% invested in this business can still make it. So here too, some might wonder if this is all part of Tsarukyan's mental strategy to get in ahead of Makhachev, or it could very well be that Arman is not 100% focused on fighting, which, as his friend alluded to, if that's the case, what he's been doing in the octagon is even more impressive. Diaz reveals that he is in Mexico on a retreat and is planning to get back into jiu-jitsu this morning. He posted this on his Instagram story.
Out here in Mexico, got a little retreat center over here with the chefs and all that, so I'm gonna hit this jiu-jitsu gym they have out here somewhere. This guy Clark Gracie, I beat him in the US Open way back when we were kids. He's got his own gym out here, so I'm gonna go and try to jam that place up.
Up next, MMA community not happy with Conor McGregor call out. It's safe to say that in recent years, Conor McGregor's favorable ratings with a lot of MMA fans has been tanking hard. Well, as 2025 begins, there's no indication of that changing. Not only has McGregor continued to make headlines for disturbing allegations and run-ins with the law, but 2024 came and went without him fighting again. So when he announced recently that he's going to be boxing YouTuber and pro wrestler Logan Paul, it didn't go over too well with many fans. The rumor has been that the uber-rich Ambani family is putting together a $250 million purse for a McGregor-Paul bout, which will go down in India. More recently, McGregor doubled down on all the speculation by posting this via social media. $250,000, Indian flag, hashtag I'm coming. And right on schedule, the blowback from the MMA community was quick and fierce. Man, it's so sad what happened to Conor McGregor. Could have been an all-time legend in the fight game, but his fall off will be what is remembered the most. Dustin stole his soul. Michael Chandler trained every day for 2 years just to sit at home and watch Conor McGregor versus Logan Paul fight for more money than he would make in 20 careers. Conor McGregor is officially finished. No one want to see this WWE BS boxing match between a YouTuber and a retired UFC fighter. How embarrassing this is as a big UFC fan. Very sad. This is the last thing we wanted to see, man. Ducking Chandler to beat up a Paul brother, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. If they're paying you that much to fight Logan Paul, you're definitely taking that dive, shaking my head. Huge Conor fan watching him come up, but this is the last thing I want to watch, and I won't watch. You really do have to wonder if McGregor's MMA days are over, if this bout with Paul happens. What do you think? And do you care if that's the case? Now let's take a look at Umar Nurmagomedov can surpass Khabib's record. Khabib Nurmagomedov hung up the gloves in 2020 armed with a ridiculously impressive record of 29-0. While some have questioned whether anyone will be able to surpass the legend's record, Umar Nurmagomedov's manager believes that the rising bantamweight has a good chance. Umar is preparing to fight the new bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili at UFC 311 on January 18th. While it remains to be seen if Umar will add another championship title to the Nurmagomedov family legacy, recently his manager Ali Abdelaziz sat down with MMA Junkie. While doing so, he had this to say about the undefeated bantamweight and whether he could match his cousin's awe-inspiring record. There's no doubt in my mind Umar will be a champion at 135 pounds, and I believe Umar is going to be a champion for a long time. I think Umar is the only guy who can really challenge Khabib's record. He can retire undefeated, 29-0, 30-0. Of course, he has a tough opponent, but I believe Umar is better everywhere. This is an interesting take. If Umar beats Merab, that would put his record at 19-0. Let's say Umar competes twice a year moving forward, as this seems to be the average for all-star fighters these days. He would need to go undefeated over the next 5 years or so to reach 29-0. Do you think that's doable? All that aside, Umar turned 29 just a couple of days ago, and in a recent video discussing that fact, the young eagle took a little poke at his older cousin, Khabib.
He's an eagle, right?
Yeah, he's
And
old
he
eagle.
my older brother.
Yeah, older
right?
brother, yes.
And if you're looking like that, I'm the younger brother and younger eagle. You know, young eagle, it means not age. It means like new generation.
Yes.
No, it was never been about age, right?
Right.
And we can't be both eagles.
Yeah, he's senior eagle, you're young eagle.
Yes, he old eagle.
Young eagle, yeah, he's old.
Right.
So there you go, Habib. You're old eagle. This is young eagle.
No, I'm eagle.
You're
now
eagle.
I become eagle,
No,
but
you're young eagle.
But between us now, people gonna call him old eagle.
Old eagle, yes.
Yes, I think 18 January, coach, I'm gonna deserve this name.
Yes.
Eagle.
Eagle.
No
eagle.
No more young.
No more
just
young.
eagle.
Now, the MMA world is waiting to see who will win the January 18th bout between Merab and Umar, including former champion Sean O'Malley. Recently, Sugar announced that while he wants to rematch Merab, he intends to fight the winner. While attending Rizin's recent New Year's Eve show, O'Malley relayed this via the broadcast. Ideally, Merab beats Umar and I get the rematch. But if Umar wins, it'll be Umar. That's what I want next is a title fight. Do you think the UFC will give O'Malley a title shot in his first fight back, despite the fact that he has not competed since he dropped the belt to Merab in September? Raul Rojas Jr. grapples with YouTube influencer Neon and almost put him in a chokehold. Due to Neon's health problems, Raul decided not to choke him and instead let Neon attempt a choke on him.
It's the only I can submit you. Yeah, bro. Oh, I set myself up. You gotta get the leg, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah. What are you following, bro? Come on, just stay up. Oh my god. Tap! Tap! I got the arm! It's done. Oh, what the oh! I got the guillotine. It's done. I got the guillotine. You won't feel it, bro. No, wait. No. Help! You won't feel it. I can't, you won't feel it. I'm gonna get, I actually have wait. I got medical problems. You won't feel it. I got medical problems. Just 5 seconds. I got medical problems. Yeah, you can try, yeah. Squeeze. Not harder, bro. You gotta like press this down. You want me to go harder? Yeah. Like he tapped.
Up next, UFC updates. The UFC's first card of 2025 has had some changes not far out from Fight Week, as 2 new matchups are being reported. Marcel Dorf is reporting that Yanal Ashmus was withdrawn from a lightweight scrap with Joe Selecki, and that Nurulo Aliev is stepping in. Selecki is coming off a decision loss to Grant Dawson, which followed a knockout loss to Drakkar Klose in December of 2023. The undefeated Aliev, meanwhile, is looking to build on the decision win he recorded over Rafael Alves in February 2023, which marked his octagon debut. And MMA Junkie is reporting that Andreas Gustafsson is no longer going to throw hands with welterweight Preston Parsons at UFC Vegas 101, and that Jacoby Smith will instead. Parsons is looking to get back on track after dropping a decision loss to Oben Elliott in July of 2024, which followed his decision win over Matthew Semmelsberger last January. Smith will be making his octagon debut after going 9-0 to date in the cage. In October, he recorded a stoppage victory over Christian Savoy while competing on Dana White's Contender Series. MMA Kings is reporting that the UFC's February 22nd card in Seattle will see middleweights Mansur Abdul Malik and Antonio Trucoli battle. The undefeated Abdul Malik graduated to the UFC via Dana White's Contender Series last year and stopped Dusko Todorovic in his octagon debut. Trucoli has come up short in both of his UFC bouts to date, as the middleweight has been finished by Nurmagomedov and Tresean Gore. Leo Guimaraes is reporting that the UFC's March 15th Fight Night card in Vegas will feature a light heavyweight showdown between Dr. Nugruzai and Brenson Hibedo. Nurmagomedov has gone 10-0 to date, and that includes a stoppage victory over Bartosz Svedchik during the last season Dana White's Contender Series. Hibedo, meanwhile, recorded a pivotal split decision win over Caio Machado in November, as he was coming off back-to-back losses in his first 2 UFC fights. And AG Fight is reporting that the aforementioned March 15th card in Vegas will see strawweights Sam Hughes and Stephanie Luciano throw down. Hughes recorded a decision victory over Victoria Dudakova last August, which followed her decision loss to Yasmin Jauregui last February. Luciano, on the other hand, is coming off her successful UFC debut as she recorded a decision win over Talita Alencar in August. Now let's discuss Michael Bisping agrees with Jamahal Hill's reaction to Alex Pereira altercation. Some fans have been piling on Jamahal Hill for how he handled his recent run-in with Alex Pereira at the UFC's Performance Institute, but Michael Bisping is defending how Sweet Dreams acted. If you missed it, recently, Hill and Pereira had to be separated after a talk that they were having quickly escalated. At first, it looked like tensions were in check, but then Pereira appeared to challenge Hill to get into the cage. Hill declined and argued that the two should not throw hands unless the UFC was handing them a check to do so. But since Hill has been accused of not giving Pereira proper credit for his KO win over him, and because of his now infamous yawn following Poatan's victory over Khalil Roundtree Jr., some saw his recent actions as ducking the champ. Bisping, however, disagrees. During a recent video that went up on his YouTube channel, the Count said this: Pereira threw the gloves at him and Jamahal was like, "What are you talking about? I'm not gonna fight you here in the gym, I'm gonna fight you and get paid for that." Now, a lot of people's opinions on social media is that Jamahal kind of out, but I'll be honest, I kind of agreed with this take. Why would you want to fight in a gym when you can get paid a ridiculous amount of money to fight for real? Although, on the flip side, I see why people say that as well. I see why they formed the opinion in that he kind of wimped out a little bit because he did approach him, and Pereira threw the gloves. They are in the gym. They could have trained, they could have done a round or two, but it would have gotten carried away. It would have escalated out of control, and somebody might have ended up getting hurt. There is something to be said about ensuring you're not going to get paid 6 figures before you risk having your consciousness sent to Jupiter and back. Do you agree with Hill and Bisping? MMA community reacts to Jon Jones' demands for Tom Aspinall fight. After Jon Jones put away Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, the heavyweight champ said that the UFC will need to pay out few levels of cash if they want him to fight Tom Aspinall. Well, Joe Rogan is reporting that Bones is indeed demanding a lofty sum to make the fight happen, and fans have been weighing in. During a recent episode of Rogan's podcast, he reported Jones is asking for $30 million to make the Aspinall fight a reality. That news quickly made the rounds online, and it looks like many people believe the champ's demands are completely reasonable. For example, Luke Thomas responded with, "Doubtful he gets this much, but it's a more than reasonable ask given what the bout itself will generate, what UFC can afford, and the vast underpayment he's experienced throughout his pay-per-view career. I see a lot of the Saudis will pay for it, and yeah, they could. But so far, they've only been able to sponsor an event or pay for good, but not the most premium UFC product to be held in KSA. UFC has not allowed purse action. Also, UFC can easily afford it on their own." And here were some other folks who believe $30 million is a fair price. This is both a completely reasonable amount of money for Jon to want and him pricing himself out because he absolutely knows the UFC won't give him $30 million. He'll get $20 million at the very least. All-time great heavyweight fights deserve an all-time great payday. Don't settle for anything less, Johnny Bones. Aspinall should see some of that too. It's a titles unification bout, so both guys come in as champions. Obviously, Jon is A-side. I'm a massive critic of Jon, but this is an objectively fair request. If he's asking for $30 million, he absolutely deserves it. The UFC's pay structure is absolutely disgusting. There's no reason why Jon Jones should not be making at least $25 million per fight. One observer, however, apparently thinks the UFC should play hardball and pass. Give him the old Ngannou treatment. Strip him and save the cash. Book Aspinall versus Volkov for the undisputed and call it a day. It's interesting to see more and more fans favoring the fighters these days in terms of their compensation demands. But what do you think? Will Jones get his wish? Former UFC fighter reveals happy news. If you're an old school fan, you likely remember Matt Hamill, who made some serious waves back in the day by not only scoring some big victories in the UFC, but because he was deaf. Sure, you may also remember him because the only defeat Jon Jones has on his record is the disqualification loss he was handed for hitting Hamill with elbows that were illegal at the time. Well, recently, the now 48-year-old announced that thanks to a new hearing aid, he can finally hear. Via his social media, the decorated wrestler and retired fighter reported the following: "I just got the most powerful digital hearing aids ever made. For the first time in 41 years, I can finally hear my kids' voices, the sounds of people walking and laughing. I finally heard my mom's voice and she cried. I'm looking forward to hearing my brother Pat's voice too. I only hope he doesn't have a voice like a foghorn. This is awesome, although I know it will take time to adapt to all of this. Happy New Year." Yep, this is fantastic news. All the best to Hamill and his family. Colby Covington is considering moving weight classes and called out Sean Strickland. Colby revealed on a recent interview that he's considering moving up weight classes from welterweight to middleweight, and he called out Sean Strickland in the process. Here's what Colby had to say.
Honestly, 85 is intriguing. I definitely want to put on some muscle, but I'd also want to be efficient with the speed and making sure I'm really quick twitched, ready to pounce on these guys. The Sean Strickland fight's always interesting. You know, he's had his things to say about me in the past. I don't think he's anything special. He's got a jab, he's got a front kick, but besides that, you know, you shut those weapons down, and he's very limited. So, you know, he's a cardio fighter. He's just a cardio kickboxer, essentially. So I don't see any threats out of Sean Strickland, and an entertaining fight that I might entertain in the future. We'll see.